Hi, this is Microdose U, and I'm Dr. Denise. I'm a psychologist, doctor of psychology. And here at Microdose U, we're always looking at comprehensive health, physiologically, psychologically, and how we can really upgrade, particularly using psychedelic medicine. So, really putting all of that together. And today I want to talk about, I close my eyes and pause for a minute because I know that I get a lot of questions about this, and it's kind of a trigger. So, what we're going to talk about, and it not going to be exactly what it might sound like when I first say it. We're going to talk about weight, body weight, uh, weight loss, maintenance, healthy weight. This is a question I get a lot, particularly during perimenopause and menopause. It is physiologically very common that because of the drops in estrogen, the changes in our hormones, the body composition shifts. And what may have worked your entire life, you may have been fit your entire life. Maybe you've struggled to try to maintain a body weight that you feel comfortable, even forget even the number, but just feeling comfortable in your clothing, in your body, feeling like you're healthy. Maybe that's been a lifelong struggle. Maybe you've never struggled with that. Maybe you didn't even have, if you're postmenopausal, maybe you didn't even have that in perimenopause and menopause. And I can tell you, I know somebody who experienced that, me, never experienced any struggles with perimenopause and menopause. And then, way after, all of a sudden, all these changes are happening. So, it can happen at any time of life. In earlier adulthood, young teen, early adulthood, there's certainly hormonal changes and cycles going on. Women will talk about, oh, I feel like I gain weight during PMS. So they do different things to kind of accommodate that, to maintain that. When we're younger as women, it is actually for the most part true that if we kind of watch what we eat, these are the doctor's messages to us: watch what you eat, or eat healthy and exercise. So it's as if it's an arithmetic problem: less calories in, more calories expended, you'll stay healthy, lose weight if that's your goal. And sometimes that's true. And there can be some people that maintains to be the case. It becomes more rare as we go into perimenopause and menopause for a lot of women, even though it didn't happen to me. And you might not even notice it. That's the thing, is that it's sort of silently shifting, and all of a sudden one day you kind of go shopping and you try something on. You're like, that's not fitting quite the way it was, or the season changes and you're putting on different clothing and that doesn't fit, and you have no idea. So you start exercising more. You start perhaps eating less, cutting carbs, running, hiking, doing things even more. And you feel like you're really applying that. You might be exhausted, but you're sort of going along only to feel terrible, maybe not sleep as well. And here's the kicker: gain weight. So, what's going on? The body is a metabolic chemical lab of sorts. It's not an arithmetic problem. And let's upgrade the word problem. It's not a problem so much as what can we do to achieve a healthy sense of our bodies and our beings in our lives. So that's what we're looking at. And I just have to say, one of my pet peeves is the idea of weight loss, even though, of course, that's what people want. Oh, I weigh 175. I want to get back down to 140 or something. Yes, that there's a number, there's a weight loss. I will tell you this little pet peeve of mine, which is the body hears loss sometimes as something's not good. You're losing something. And in life, we don't want to lose things. So I really like the phrase healthy. maintaining a healthy body, feeling good. And a lot of people, and I'm one of them, I don't really weigh myself. I want to feel comfortable in my body. I want to, certainly, I want my clothing to fit. I want to be healthy. I want to be able to move. Moving is so important to keeping us healthy and well throughout the lifespan. So I like to think of what am I adding? And oftentimes, some of the, I'll tell you what not to do, the sort of cut out this, cut out that, kind of the extremes, the fad diets, as we call them, or take this magic pill or supplement. Oftentimes, if it does help, it mostly only backfires. So it's really, I always talk about adding. So it's not so much restrict, don't eat this, forget about deprive yourself. It's what can I add that's going to work to lead to a healthy metabolic function in my body, particularly perimenopause, menopause, and after menopause. It's very frustrating when think you're doing all the right things and you're reading and you're not getting anywhere, or you're gaining weight. Or here's the other very common thing happens to a lot of us: just fast, just do keto. That'll help. No, keto is bad for you. Like, you find as many articles, doctors, providers saying either side of that. So who do you trust? What do you do? And I can say that there is not one answer for everyone. Much like we talk about here at Microdose U with the microdosing protocols, everybody is unique. Yes, there are trends. Yes, I'm going to even say some things that are going to be helpful. And then at the very end, stay, because I'm going to give you a quick exercise that's really helpful for weight loss or metabolic function, getting to a healthy weight. And here's a little hint: it has nothing to do with what you eat or exercise. I'll get to that just in a moment here. So, trends that we know tend to be healthy. Now, everyone is unique, as I already said. So it's very important. Run things by trusted providers. Contact me. I'll help you with all of these moving puzzle pieces we talk about to see where does all of this fit. There's a lot of moving factors that are going on, and everyone is unique. Okay, so I said trends. In general, in general, particularly as we get into perimenopause, menopause, when hormones are shifting, we're going to really be looking more at emphasizing protein and protein forward kinds of meals. So, yes, if we're eating pasta and vegetables, you're not getting the protein. I'm not saying not to eat pasta and vegetables. In fact, you can have those things. Again, you'll look at timed eating, where those vegetables and pasta fit with maybe protein. So, again, in general, protein is your friend, whether it's animal based protein, chicken, Greek yogurt, nuts and seeds. Healthy fats are going to be particularly important. Again, this has to be run through your particular unique factors in life and whatever medical, metabolic factors you might have going on. There are certain things, like if somebody says, have a lot of nuts and seeds, but you're allergic to those, or you have an extreme case of some digestive GI problem, that's going to be contraindicated. So we look at trends and then we have to dial it in for you as an individual. So again, protein, healthy fats. Carbs are okay. So here's the thing. Carbs, it's not a bad, if I say carb, it's like a four-letter word. It is not, carbs are not necessarily bad. So here's what I do with carbs. I like to have carbs in it during the day. Carbs first thing in the morning don't work for me, and late in the evening don't work. There is a trend to have kind of your carbs and your bigger meal in the middle of the day. This is kind of like eating, say, in the window of 9, 10 o'clock in the morning till 6 or 7 o'clock at night. So that's kind of that timed eating they talk about, where it doesn't, you're not really fasting, you're not skipping meals, you're not starving yourself till 3 in the afternoon. not eating at all day long. What you're doing is, like, for a lot of people, they wake up in the morning, they're not starving. And so they'll have some water, maybe some tea, a little coffee or something. And after an hour or two, maybe have some breakfast, always protein forward in that. And then your midday meal, it's nice to, if you're going to have healthy carbs, which I do recommend, again, the trend, healthy carbs, it is actually good for brain function. So I'm not talking about empty carbs, crackers and cookies and things like that. I'm talking about healthy carbs that come through vegetables. Um, One of the little tricks that I learned about a couple years back was resistant starch. And that's when you use something like pasta, sweet potatoes, and you cook them, cool them, and you can eat them cold. Certainly, a lot of people do that. They'll make a cold pasta salad, uh, or reheat them if you want them heated. And what that does, that process in, say, the sweet potatoes, it changes where that sweet potato is going to be digested. It's going to act more like fiber in the lower intestine. So it won't go into your body as a quick carb digestion, which could possibly bring your blood sugar up, which is very important. I'll get to that in just a moment. So, protein, healthy carbs, possibly doing that trick with resistant starch where you cook it, you cool it, you can reheat it. Usually, I do that like the day before and then I eat it the next day. I would say not anything extreme fasting, just the trend when you're in perimenopause and menopause. Cortisol's all over the place. Cortisol is that stress chemical. So it's already all over the place. And then if you're fasting, extreme fasting, I don't mean timed window eating, I mean skipping meals, not eating all day, the body spikes cortisol. Our body basically goes into this, oh, this is stress. This is threatening because I'm not getting food. Again, as a trend, I would say not fasting for extreme amounts of time. Eat in that window. People talk about keto. That's absolutely no carbs, lots of meat and cheese and high fat foods. Again, you have to look at your particular makeup and what's happening in your life. I found for me that strict keto generally backfires, particularly for women in peri and menopause. If you're doing that and that's working, terrific. My concern was I started to get a little brain fogged more after not really having that. So, and it backfired, and I started to actually put on weight. And as I said earlier, I didn't have that kind of typical weight shift, weight gain with perimenopause and menopause. It happened really years after that, really more recently. I'm in my mid 60s now. In my early 60s, I was like, what's going on? I never had this kind of mid body weight. And I'm figuring out that I was kind of going about some of my habits and patterns incorrectly. So I've shifted that. Some of what I've shifted, and I think is very helpful, by the way, in perimenopause and menopause, is looking at how you are moving. So if you are going for long runs, like you're training like you're a marathon runner and you're out there and you're running and you're still gaining weight. So if it's working, great. As long as you're healthy and everything's going well and you're not gaining weight, don't change anything if it's working. There are lots of women, though, who will experience, they've always been out there running, and all of a sudden they're gaining weight. They've changed nothing. And they're still out there running marathons. I have a good friend, marathon runner, gaining all kinds of weight, has figured out that some of, not to stop running marathons, but to look at the protein, the resistant training, weightlifting. And I don't mean you have to be like in a gym lifting unbelievable weights, low weights even. I have 6 pound weights and 10 pound weights. And when I was in my 30s and 40s and I would work out, I would be like, really kind of, doing the weight lifting and exercise the way I was taught. In my 60s, what I've learned is to do less reps and slower. I recently learned this last year when, say, for example, I'm doing like a curl, to actually do that slower pause and then slower again and less reps. And the last couple, say I'm doing 10 repetitions of that exercise, the last couple should feel a little more difficult. If they don't, then I use my 10-pound weights. And I have not gone up between the 6 and 10-pound weights. So that's just a little bit about a trend that we see with not necessarily doing more reps and moving around and sweating more on the treadmill or out there. It's actually, it might be about doing less of that. Less is more sometimes. Now, movement's good, but any movement. I have, smartwatch. A lot of people have a smartwatch. I can look without leaving my house, just walking around, doing this, doing that, letting my dog out, going to get the mail. I'll put probably 3 to 5,000 steps in a day without even doing anything. So then if I hop on my stepper, if I go for a walk for a mile or so, now I'm getting up there. If I stretch even just a few minutes, even seated, some people will say, I can't really get out there and walk. I have bad knees, bad back. What can I do even seated? There are lots of exercises people can do. There's lots, if you Google on YouTube, really there's so much you can do just even seated that will help you and help your body stay active and movement and fit. Couple of other quick notes I wanted to mention. I get a lot of questions about, and it's like the Wild West right now with these weight loss medications. I get a lot of questions about this. These are the GLP1s, things like Ozempic, Zepbound. Now we have had a lot of people here at Microdose U that are on those medicines, and then the question is, can I stay on those medicines and microdose psilocybin or LSD? And the answer is yes. In fact, you should not just change anything, as I always say. What about hormone replacement therapies? So women will get hormones from their providers to help with the symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. That is absolutely, check that with your doctor. It can be very helpful. I'm not saying you should go do that, but I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. And like the GLP question, how is that with microdosing psychedelics? Can I be taking hormone replacement therapies during perimenopause, menopause after, and still microdose? And the answer is, again, absolutely yes. But I also want to say this about the GLP-1 weight loss meds and the hormone replacement therapies. In general, your microdosing of psychedelics is probably going to start at a lower level because the GLP-1s will, because it slows the digestion, basically, your body may feel the microdose a little bit more in the beginning. So if someone comes to me and says they're on GLP-1 meds and they want to start microdosing psychedelics, I would start them, all things being equal, on a little bit of a lower dose. So instead of maybe 100 milligrams of psilocybin, I might say start with 50 just to see how it is. You can always go up. Same thing with the LSD. Instead of starting with 20, micrograms, maybe start with 10, see how that is. If someone's been microdosing and then they're thinking of going on GLP-1s, you might discover that you need to dial back your dose a little bit once you start the GLP-1s. Same thing with the hormone replacement therapies. If someone's on hormone replacement therapy and they start microdosing, I would start a little bit lower because the hormone replacement therapy will make you a little more sensitive. You'll feel the microdose potentially with being on hormone replacement therapy. And the same that I just said. If you are microdosing and then you decide to go on hormone replacement therapies, you might need to kind of just dial back the dose just a tiny bit. And it's a little bit of experimenting. I know it's trial and error. I wish it was more straightforward. And yet we are all unique, and the psychedelic medicines are going to uniquely adjust to our bodies and to some of these other medicines if you're doing things like the GLP-1 weight loss medicines or hormone replacement therapy. So all of that sort of becomes important. And then I want to say why during perimenopause and menopause. So it's very complicated without getting too chemical and into all the physiology in the body. What we know is that the changes in our hormones, we respond differently to the cortisol stress hormones. If we're stressed, plus you've got changes in cortisol, that's even more. So you've got those shifts in hormones. Maybe you're stressed. Things are kind of whatever your life stress is, even not if there is very low stress, you've got the hormonal changes which are going to affect your cortisol. Cortisol level directly impacts blood sugar. Blood sugar in your system is going to directly impact insulin and fat storage. So that's why you've got perimenopause, menopause leading to, oh, all of a sudden I've got abdominal fat storage. I never had that before. So it's several steps. It does not mean you have an insulin problem, although sometimes if people become a little insulin resistant, and then they start to be watched to see if they are developing some sort of diabetic, pre diabetic sort of situation. So, not that that's going to be a high risk at any particular point just because you're perimenopause, menopause, but that's sort of the word insulin is a buzzword. So that is watched, but not necessarily problematic just because I mentioned that happens at this time in our lives. Certainly, we want to be able to stretch and move, like I already said. And again, it's not going for 10-mile walks, although if you do that and it's fine, that's perfect. And yet, for some people, they can't do that. They don't feel up to it. It may backfire if they've never done it and they start going out there and doing that. They may actually gain weight, as I already indicated earlier. So, any movement, stretching, I will turn on music videos and dance in my living room in like a 4-foot square space just to kind of move around. I walk around my house a lot and just gardening outside, sort of doing that all of that counts. That old trick where if you go to the store and you park further away in the parking lot to get to the door of the store you're going into, things like that, they really do help you get more movement and steps in. Even just a few minutes of it will help. And here's another trend that we see: sitting around after you've eaten is part of what can spike insulin and lead to that fat storage. So, again, I'm not saying jump up and start hiking miles. When you, after you've had a meal, if you get up, it's going to be better for you. It doesn't mean you have to start exercising. Walking around, say cleaning up after a meal, that might be the time I'll take my dog out in the yard, go for a walk for even 5 or 10 minutes is going to be very good for that insulin fat storage. Where do psychedelics also fit in with all of this? I get this question: will psychedelics at all affect my weight? Are they going to help me lose weight or gain weight? The answer is no. They don't. They absolutely do not lead to weight gain. None of the psychedelics do that at all. If anything, they can help. They're not going to make you lose weight. But here's the mitigating part: when we are feeling well, emotionally and physically, and maybe even our body aches are a little bit better because there's anti-inflammatory properties in psychedelics, we are going to probably do things better in terms of eating, stretching, walking around, getting some exercise. So the wellness, the lowered depression, the calmness, feeling more comfortable in our emotional physical body is going to actually help us in achieving and then maintaining healthy metabolism and weight that's going to be more comfortable in our bodies. Okay, so I promised that I had an exercise. It's interesting. It's called an exercise activity, is what I really mean. That is, I think it's a game changer as far as weight loss, weight maintenance, metabolic function. It has nothing to do with what you're eating or moving. And this has to do with how you relate to yourself, your internal sense of your being. People will say, I'll be happy when. I get this a lot with weight loss. I'll be happy when I can just lose 10, 15 pounds. So I get that. I understand that. I have felt and thought that myself constantly, that there's this sense of, oh, I don't like being overweight. I want to lose weight. I'll be happy if I lose weight. So I want to flip that around to be happy first. And this is what this exercise is going to look at. Being happy first is going to actually lead to weight loss, a healthier weight. So if we want to take a moment, here's the exercise, as we often do here at Microdose U. See if we can just kind of drop into our body. Feel yourself sitting. If you want to prefer to look out, if you're driving, certainly noticing the surroundings around you. If you're busy, some people, like I've said, don't want to really focus inward. So whatever works for you to kind of be present, looking at something that's present, a tree, the lamp on my desk here, to kind of bring you to the current moment. And see if you can sort of breathe into that moment, feel your body sitting present or standing present or driving. This sort of breathing into your lower abdomen, as I always say, is healthy. It kind of helps us drop down and be present. And being up here breathing actually also produces more of that frenetic cortisol stress chemistry. So even just the act of taking a slow, deep breath into our abdomen is going to drop down that cortisol, which helps, by the way, with your weight. So being happy, focusing in the moment, and now being able to say, I am well, I am a beautiful soul and being. So the focus is off your body and saying, oh, I'll be happy when. It's more, I am happy now. I am a happy being now. My soul is happy. I am well. And then a little bonus moment. If you want to see yourself in feeling comfortable in your body, seeing yourself walking around doing things that feel enjoyable. For me, as an example, seeing myself walking in the mountains or walking along the shoreline of the ocean, that's a pleasing image. Seeing that, seeing myself feel well physically, psychologically, feeling like my body is moving the way it's meant to move and that I'm healthy and well. That is very positive imagery. It reduces the stress and the cortisol. It sort of slows things down and really hits two things. It's happiness, wellness, feeling a sense of wellness within your being is going to lead to a healthy weight maintenance path. It is also going to drop down that cortisol and those chemicals that kind of, like I said, can kind of work against us. So hopefully that's helpful. We are here for you. Let me know as I get questions. I can absolutely help you figure out all these moving puzzle pieces. Go to Microdose U, click on the coaching, join the Patreon, and where you can ask me direct questions and join our live, and you can really look at these moving puzzle pieces and we'll try to get them sorted out for you. And I will see you again soon.